Hello cuties, and welcome to my heroic Megaera 25-man guide. I'm going to assume that you have done this encounter in normal mode, and as such I will not be covering most of the normal mode abilities. For this fight you want to bring 2 tanks, 67 healers, with the rest of the raid being DPS. Make sure that you bring as many warlocks as possible. Before we get into the strategy of this encounter, you need to know that this strategy is based on having at least 2 warlocks in the raid. If you have 1 or no warlocks, this strategy will most likely not work for you. The new heroic mechanic on this encounter is the Arcane Head. The Arcane Head is a new Hydra head that has 2 new abilities it brings to the encounter. The first of these abilities is Diffusion, which is a breath attack that deals around 160,000 arcane damage per second for 3 seconds, as well as giving whoever got hit by it a debuff also called Diffusion. This debuff lasts for 45 seconds and stacks. The debuff will redirect 10% per stack of all healing received by the debuff player to allies within 8 yards that are not afflicted with Diffusion. Basically what this means is that the breath itself needs to be healed through and shouldn't be a big deal. The Diffusion debuff is handy in that you can use heavy single target heals on whoever is debuffed to heal the raid when everyone is stacked up for Rampage. The second ability the Arcane Head uses is Nether Tear. The Arcane Head uses Nether Tear on the ground where a Nether Worm will spawn every second for 6 seconds. In other words, 6 worms will spawn per Nether Tear. These worms have about 3 million HP each and a set of their own abilities. The worms will cast Nether Spike, which is a 1.5 second interruptible cast that deals around 130,000 arcane damage to a random player. They will cast Suppression as well, which is a 1.5 second interruptible cast that will stun a player for 15 seconds. You can dispel this stun off the player if someone gets hit by it. How you deal with these worms is pretty simple. You just make sure you kill them when they spawn, as well as trying your best just to lock them down with stuns and interrupts. If you attack random players and get spread out, you can have a Death Knight use Scorpion's Grasp to clump them all up again. With that being said, let's get to the strategy. As I mentioned before, this strategy revolves around having 2 or more warlocks. We use 3 warlocks on our kill and in this video. What you want to do is having your warlock summon their portals like you see here. This will allow you to move quickly when targeted by Torrent of Ice. The whole strategy with the warlock portals is that you make sure you stand behind a warlock portal whenever possible, except during Rampage obviously. Healers might have a range issue with this if they're assigned to heal tanks and or melee, so it's alright for them to stand in front of the portals. Whenever a player gets Torrent of Ice, you either run down a straight line from the portal to the next portal and then click on the portal in the back to go back to the front. Or you click on the portal in the front to get headed Ice Torrent and you get portal to the back and then run back. Either way will work. What this will do is that you will essentially make 3 or so racetracks of ice on the ground that will go from portal in the front to portal in the back. This is good because it will make your raid have more room to move around, and it makes it easier to remove the ice whenever someone gets cinders. The first thing you want to do is to make sure you have the Warlock's portal set up properly. They should be about 35 yards away from the boss so that every ranged DPS can reach the boss while standing behind the portal. The second thing you want to do is to mark the locations of where you want to stack up for Rampage. There are 2 good spots for this that I recommend that you use. One between the red and blue head and one by the purple head. Make sure you put these within melee range of each head so that everyone can DPS the head during Rampage. You start by killing the Hydra heads in a specific order. This is the order we used and the order I recommend. Blue, red, purple, and lastly blue. 7 heads to kill just like in normal mode. The only problem with this kill order that you might run into is that by the time you get to the second purple head or so, the green head will have his Hydra frenzy stacked pretty high and will deal a lot of damage to that tank and even more damage later on. If you have problems keeping your tank alive on the green Hydra head, then swap out your kill order. Start with blue, red, purple as normal, and kill blue and red again, but instead of killing purple a second time, kill green and then lastly blue. If you choose to kill green, make sure they spread out and avoid the acid rain, as he will spit 3 of these at the same time on the raid. Regardless of what kill order I presented earlier that you choose to do, the fight will for the most part be the same unless you kill the green head early. I strongly recommend you do not kill the green head early, and if you really have to kill the green head, kill as late as possible into the fight, since the acid rain is very annoying to deal with on heroic. Besides that, the fight isn't that much different from normal mode to warrant a detailed strategy for each head, so I'm just gonna lay out all the key points and hope that it helps you guys out. Make sure that you have Warlock Portal set down pre-pull, and that you have your 2 raid markers set up for stacking points for Rampage. Whenever you get targeted by torrents of ice, click on the portal in front of you, or run back and click on one in the back to take it to the front. By the time you kill the first Arcane Head, there will most likely be ice everywhere around the portals. make sure you clear that ice by having whoever gets cinders first run over the ice. Once the ice is gone, make sure you resume your original positions with having all the ranged DPS stay behind the portals so that you don't spawn tons of ice in front of the portals and cover them in ice. The cinders debuff on heroic mode will drop a patch of fire every 3 seconds the player has cinders on them, so if you don't need to clear the ice on the ground, you should dispel them as fast as possible to reduce the amount of fire on the ground. As you get very close to killing the boss, there will most likely be ice and fire everywhere. At this point, try to stand somewhere safe and just finish the boss off and don't worry too much about the portals anymore. Besides that, make sure that you kill the nether worms when they spawn. Don't forget that you can stun them, grip them, and interrupt them. A Druid Solar Beam, a Warrior's Disrupting Shout, a Warlock's Shadow Fury for example, works really well here to keep the worms on lockdown. Lastly, Rampage does a lot more damage than Heroic, so we use 2 healing cooldowns and about 2 mitigation cooldowns for each Rampage. The first 3 Rampages are not that bad, but it really picks up after that, so make sure you have a strong healing and mitigation cooldown rotation. Heroism is also best used during the last Rampage on the last head, as it will allow you to burn a head really fast and also act as a healing cooldown on its own during the Rampage. And that is it for this guide. I hope this helped you kill this evil Hydra, and if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below or contact me in game. See you next time and thanks for watching.